It's Saturday night, Scottsdale 2013, prime time. Some of the big cars sold tonight. I'm Rob Sass.
I'm Ken Lingenfelder.
And I'm Dave Kinney.
Okay.
The first we'll report on is Gooding. They sold 101 of 104 cars, so they just missed 3. That's 97% for a total of 52.6 million. Last year they did 39.8 million, so a big, huge bump. Barrett is 1,188 of 1,191 cars. Again, just a couple of cars missed. 96.6 million versus last year's 84.8 million. Russo and Steele, 316 of 544, 58%. They're at right now 14.3 million versus 17.9. And now is a good time to remind everyone these are not final figures for most of the auction houses because there will be an after sale or two, and we certainly do count those in when they do come in. Silver, 209 of 349 for 60%. They're 2.8 versus 2.9 for last year, so virtually the same. But here's the big one, the overall statistic. 216.2 million versus last year's 177.2.
This is going to be one for the record books, and the collector car market is on fire. Let's go into Barrett-Jackson, the Salon Series. Corvette L88, the very famous Owens Corning race car, sold big. Ken, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was a big sell, and I actually expected it would be, to be honest with you. That's a pretty famous car.
It really is. $1.1 million, class winner at the 24 Hours Daytona, SCCA champion. 1.1 million, about what you thought it would do?
Actually, I did. You know, I think I was on the high end from what everybody else I talked to, but yeah, I thought it would do that, and it did.
It's kind of a tale of two L88s at Barrett-Jackson. We had another L88 sell after the famous Owens Corning race car. Ken, what happened there? That car didn't do so well.
You know, it didn't, and actually that was a shock for me. You know, I was asleep at the wheel because, boy, I would have bought that car in a dime for what it sold for. As I remember, it probably went about $285, something like that, by the time they got the commissions in, but that's a good price for
That's almost half price, right?
Yeah.
Well, the 800-pound gorilla in the room tonight was the original Batmobile that sold for $4.62 million. Dave, what are your thoughts on that?
I am absolutely astonished. You know, Barrett-Jackson is famous for doing these sales for vehicles that are, you know, kind of similar. I'm going back to the Futureliner bus where they just shocked with the results from that. And I think this is a real shocking result. I can't believe that it could be duplicated everywhere. So, you know, big props to Barrett-Jackson for getting this job done.
Definitely. You know, the only thing I can think of that even came close was the James Bond Aston Martin DB5 that RM sold a couple of years ago for close to the same money.
Yeah, that's right. And I just don't see this car as being the same as a DB5 or a James Bond car, but obviously the people there bidding thought differently.
Yeah, the legendary George Barris was there to get that done. Ken, what were your thoughts on the Batmobile?
It was absolutely a wild setting. Everybody was on their feet. Of course, George Barris was there, Linda Vaughn was there, you know, great iconic people from the business. I got a kick out of the whole thing. The entertainment side of the whole thing was just amazing.
I have never seen that many people in Barrett-Jackson, and that's that the place is usually a human car wash. So, I mean, it was just absolutely packed with people, and got lots of attention. You know, all during the day I saw people walking around with Batman T-shirts on. So, Batman fever definitely ruled in 2013. We'll see what happens, but you know, that's just a great one-off result.
Yeah,
I was particularly glad for George Barris too. You know, he was so excited up on stage. He had to be there, I guess, but it was really something fun to watch.
Yeah, at 88 years old, I mean, George is still
Going strong.
Yeah,
it's great.
The Energizer Bunny. What else? We had the Clark Gable Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing too. That sold for over $2 million.
Yeah, 2.035. Another surprising result, but not as shocking. We've seen $1.5 million now for a couple of 300 SLs. Now both coupes and roadsters. So I guess the Clark Gable name was worth a little bit, not millions and millions, but certainly you know, a bump on that. And again, not too terribly surprising, but a very well sold car.
Well, frankly, somebody did give a damn about Clark Gable's Mercedes-Benz that night. They paid, about a $700,000 premium for the gable connection, I think.
Well, maybe a little bit less, but somewhere around there, yeah.
Ken, did you see the car?
Yeah, I did actually. We have to keep in mind, I think, the hype and the whole thing with Barrett too. It was very entertaining to watch that car go over the block, and I wonder how much that played into the sale price also.
Yeah,
Sure. But it's definitely it's a hot set. There's no doubt about it, and there's a lot of temperament, a lot of personality, and you see it if you watch it on TV, and you certainly feel it in person. So, and they did another. I mean, we should while we're on the Barrett subject, lots and lots of charity cars again, which is of course a great thing, and something they kind of are now kind of leading the industry in. So.
Yep. Well, Gooding was auctioning some high-dollar cars today, lest we forget about them. The 59 Porsche 718 RSK at $3.135 million. Very, very interesting four-cam Porsche race car from the 50s. Strong result. It made close to the high estimate, I think.
I think that's right, and not once again a shocking result, but a good result. Let's circle back to the Lancia, the tale of two Lancias. We had one that sold for $800,000 and one that sold for $803,000. Two completely different cars. One a restored car, one a totally non-restored car. $3,000 difference.
Yeah, the funny thing is we sort of predicted that because...
We did, didn't we?
Yeah,
we
we really
did.
did,
Sure.
because the barn find and the restored car were really a lot closer in condition than anyone thought. The restored car was an older restoration that was starting to come apart. If you wanted to be a show car, you had to do everything. The barn find was a good core to start with. Ken, I'm sure you've seen this.
Oh, I've seen it many times, and it's always fun to watch when something like that happens.
Yeah.
But I think we pegged this one right on the nose.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and it's once again it's interesting because with the two Lancias, there's a bunch of ways to look at it, but one way to look at it is that if you're restoring a car, the best one to start with is the clean palette, the one that's never been restored before. There are no mistakes that were made by previous restorers that you have to fix. But one car does need a restoration. The other car, I guess you could argue, is no longer a fresh restoration. But what a result. And these cars were half of that just a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
So.
so it shows the allure of the barn find and the untouched car. Okay, those are the numbers for Saturday, Scottsdale 2013. Check back in tomorrow for Sunday and the final totals for all the auction houses.
26 down, 26 down, 26